Hey everyone, it's the Shawn, and welcome to edition of the Women Business Leaders Show. This is actually a new show where we're getting started, where we're interviewing women business leaders from around the globe. Today we have Roxana Nasoi joining us. Hello, Roxana. She's interesting because she's been building global communities, and she did a lot of international travel. She's seen a lot of countries. We'll get into some details of that as we talk to her. And she's bringing together people throughout the world. And that's how I met her, is I found her online. We were in some discussions about future tech and other stuff, and then we became friends. And she's agreed to join us on the Women in Business Show, share some of what she's seeing, what's working, maybe what's not working, and what's good and bad out there in the world. Love your comments, folks. So if you're seeing the show, if you're seeing it on one of our LinkedIn feeds, if you're seeing it on our Women Business Leaders YouTube channel, wherever you're at, drop your comments. We'd love to hear from you, what you're thinking, future guests, what issues you're facing, because we will build our content around that and we'll, of course, respond to you if we see something we can respond back to in your comments. A reminder, we don't do investment advice. We don't do legal advice on the show. Everything here is just for your education and learning. Go talk to your own advisors for those kind of things. So with that, welcome to the show, Roxana. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Shawn. Great to be here. Great to be am I the first guest for the...
You are the first guest, yes. So we just got this show started here in 2019. You are actually the first recording, and my co-host Leah may be joining later, or she'll be on the next edition of the show. So so you're our first. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for being able to do it. And I know you're going to come on my Future Done Right show here in the near future as well. So we'll be talking there about different things, about the future of business and some things we're seeing. Today we want to focus on women in business, and you've kind of done some unique stuff in your world. You've traveled, you've met a lot of people, you've started putting together communities. Why don't you talk a little bit about what you're doing and what you're seeing is going on out there?
So currently I'm doing a few things.
Yep.
I have just become a member of the European AI Alliance.
Okay.
As part of this international series of events that I'm going to co-organize called the World Ethical Data Forums, where we talk about the ethical data and emerging technologies and customer data and how we handle all the legalities and all the regulations. Then I'm also the Chief of Communications, so CCO of IMEDIS, which is a health tech platform. And the second version, so the current version 1, is active in about 20 hospitals around the world. The second version that we will release, hopefully this year, will also have integrated blockchain and deep learning. And we will use blockchain for communication between hospitals, and also for a community side, because we realized, people don't really have the right space to discuss their medical conditions. Social media is very fragmented, and you have to go to all these forums. But if we have a platform that has everything for the patient, might as well just have as well a community component. And I'm very fond of communities, so we will build a space for emotional and psychological support for patients. So patients will discuss with each other their issues. I will be very involved in that part because I have type 1 diabetes. So I know back in the days with Yahoo groups, there was an amazing way to connect with people all over the world. Yeah. And I kind of missed that because Facebook is not working for my needs. So I'll be very involved in that part. I'm also, I have a podcast. I have the Crypto Law podcast. So we're looking to engage with the legal community. I've built a community for lawyers in crypto and for people interested in crypto law. So now we're at 130 something people.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm just looking for ways to, connect with businesses and people and offer consulting or just building things together. And in that sense, I also just joined a blockchain incubator for 3 years.
Yeah.
I just love the idea of long-term commitment. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of stuff. I'm also trying to, build my personal brand and just make sure that we manage to put a right message out there, because people need actual value. They don't need BS, so they need actual value, and they need to get a broader perspective on things.
Yeah, so that's a big piece of this, right? I mean, it sounds like a lot of what you're doing is identifying needs and marketplace gaps, right? So, I mean, one thing I keep hearing in all these different projects you're in, you're finding places where there's something that's not functioning right or something that's not meeting a need, and then you're pulling people together, right? How does that work for you? How does that look in your world? How do you start building people around a topic or an idea?
It's very funny, but it just starts with I'm part of so many groups and so many initiatives.
Mhm.
So I just do active listening. I listen to what people talk about and what is most interesting for them,
Okay.
or pain points. Like the best example with the crypto law group that I created, it started because two people in a group that I managed spoke about the idea of having a separate group for lawyers because they didn't have one, which tackled the needs of lawyers in the blockchain space. And then I created that group with them. And then from that group, the Crypto Law podcast was born. So
Okay.
one thing that I'm looking to do, and I love doing this actually, is connect the dots. I don't like to waste time. So what I did 2 years ago should also help me today. What I did 7 years ago should also help me today. And this has been my ethics for almost 10 years now.
Right.
Everything that I'm doing and I'm creating and engaging into is a small piece of the big puzzle. And it
Yeah.
helps, even if it doesn't help me now, right now, it will help me a few years from now, for example.
Yeah.
And this is the right way to build communities in general. um, Connect with people, listen to their pain points. You have to do a bit of therapy. I studied psychology. it's
Yes.
it's where it helps. It's actually where it helps, because you listen to people's needs. You listen
Uh-huh.
to their frustrations and you answer them. You don't
Yep.
just listen, you do something. um, and then you don't need a lot of people say, oh, I need to spend money on social media and on this, on that. You don't need to spend a lot of money. You just need to put a message out there and have a few people that believe in you share the message. And then by the network effect, you
Right.
gather people
Yep.
and make it a space that is inclusive. It's not exclusive, but inclusive. Inclusivity is a huge plus in building something. Feeling people that they're part of something. You don't expect them to be 100% committed. You don't want an exclusive community, but you want people that feel like they could be in your community, but also in another community. There's no competition. There's more
Right.
cooperation and co-creating something together.
Yep. Well, this is one thing I highlight when I did my TEDx talk on women in business. I talked a lot about women like to cooperate generally, and they tend to work together. And there's studies out there that show if you put men in a situation, you put women in a situation, women are more likely than men. More likely, not every case, but women are more likely to be willing to take group compensation, to have their advancement based on the group outcome, really to invest in working together. So that's a very that's a woman-oriented trait. How do you get people past the competition side of this and get them thinking in terms of a community? Because I mean, one thing that I've seen through the years is a lot of people, as soon as you say something, they're like, well, but that's competitive with this, or I might go against that person. How do you get people to say, I want to be part of this, and it doesn't feel like it's competing against other things they might be part of?
Well, it's funny because in my Bangkok community, for example, I have Laura Takenaka. She's the head of NEM Thailand. And then I have Queen, and he is the ambassador for Dash in Thailand. And I
Hmm.
have all these people. And theoretically, you'd say that they compete between one another. But what I'm always proposing and suggesting is a group where we collaborate and we work together on specific things. Because
Right.
um, it's one thing to focus on the technology or the product, but if you look at it at the bigger picture, community plus technology, that's why I always say I'm an advocate for community plus technology, is because you always need the community to support your product. You can't have technology without community using it. So in a way, you don't want to create competition. You want to create a space where people don't feel like they're competing with one another, but where they feel like they're contributing. So bottom line is you create a space. There will be competition happening between them, but this is just strictly related to the business side. But on the consumer side and the way they approach people and the community, there is no real competition, because they answer the needs of people in general. So people come together. I can use your product, but I can also use their product and his product and her product without a problem. It's not the idea that I don't want to promote in my communities, and I never promote exclusivity. Never associate myself with one company, with one identity. It's always both hats.
Well, and I think that's certainly a philosophy that allows a lot of growth and exchange, right? I mean, and there's other communities out there I know where they are based on exclusivity, and I'm thinking about some, these local networking events that I've never, I've never really made a long-term commitment to one, but I've been invited to some of these events where they have one person from one vertical, one person from another vertical, one person from a different vertical, and they actually have, internal battles over who has which vertical and whether somebody that's coming in is in that vertical or not in that vertical. It becomes hard to draw the lines sometimes. You spend a lot of time drawing lines on who's where.
I tried to do battles. I tried to create competition. When I was an ambassador for Upwork, I had one battle where I had a Christina and a Christian.
Okay.
a guy and a girl talk about if it's better to be an independent consultant / freelancer or to be an agency, on a platform. And there was a draw because I couldn't make them compete with one another because they were so complementary in what they were doing and offering. So it has happened multiple times. If I try to bring competition into a group, it doesn't work just because I'm teaching people to be complementary and to use, maybe you have something that I don't, and that's how you build relationships anyway. So it becomes natural, I think.
It's just a way of thinking, and I think a lot alike too, because a lot of people are like, well, I might introduce you to that lawyer over there, but he or she does similar work to what you do, and I'm like, introduce us, because we'll still need to work together. Lawyers in particular, because we get conflicts of interest, right? I have one client over here doing something, and I can't do the other side of the same transaction. But I find this true even in the general business world. When you look deeper, very rarely do you have two people that are servicing the same clients all the time. Everybody's got a different mix of skill sets. Everybody's got different points of view. When you usually examine it, you find that, maybe you compete on one class of customers, but if you look at your broader skill base, there's a lot of stuff that you can benefit from each other.
Exactly. And you also have to think about what you're actually discussing in the community. Are you discussing people, businesses, or ideas? Because if you're discussing ideas, it doesn't matter if there's multiple people from the same industry. They will definitely have something different to show, or a different opinion on things, and then it just adds up to the whole, to the debate, to the discussion. Whereas if you discuss people or a particular business, the conversation is really dry because they think they compete between each other.
Right. How do you get people to say, I'll talk to somebody in my industry and I'm not going to worry about the fact that they might learn something about my business, or how do you get people past that fear or that concern?
I don't. I let them with the fear. It's something, I cannot help them with the fear that they have. All I can tell them is you can live in fear and not share your ideas with people that could offer you valid feedback and could help you grow. Or you could surpass that fear and actually enjoy having this open market kind of discussion where you're like an open market. People come and go and they leave something in the conversation that they have. If I have to basically work with them along those fears that they have, I feel like I'm becoming their therapist. I'm not really becoming a moderator or someone, a means that ensures the communication travels from them to the audience.
Right. Um, so I mean, this obviously capitalizes on a unique skill that you have, right? I mean, this is something you're good at, just bringing people together, fostering communication, building teams. What do you say to other people out there? You know, one of our goals is to encourage people to grow their businesses, to be themselves. Of course, I wear these do business differently suits and outfits, you know, and I tell people to be unique and different. But, you know, to the women business listener leader who's thinking about making a shift, doing something new, you know, what do you say to them about, you know, stepping out there, taking ownership of being different and capitalizing on whatever their unique skills might be?
You know, we we are a bit biased as women because we have a lot of soft skills, and even biologically speaking, men tend to be more analytical than women. And for some reason, I have a bit of both worlds. I love playing with data and statistics, and I love talking to people and bringing value. Um, I never let myself be judged. I don't care about what other people say. I will do my thing. I've been consistent. I've had, when I started as a freelancer 10 years ago, I had people asking me if I was video chatting because they couldn't understand the idea of getting paid online, working with clients. I've had people asking me if I do free work because they didn't understand that freelancer means independent, remote consultant. I've had people tell me that um, blockchain is not going to work. I've had people telling me that, oh, you do crypto and this is weird. I've had people telling me, oh, you built a business in marketing and it's not working. But in the same time, I had a nice family that always told me, we support you and you can do it. And if you fuck it up, it's your mistake. But,
Right.
you know, live up to it. And even when I struggle, they still support me and they believe in me. And I think it's important as women to have a strong foundation of people who believe in us, whether it's friends or business partners or family,
Mm-hmm.
or just clients. I've had clients I worked with 7, 6, 5 years, and it just shows the commitment from their side, not just mine. And I always encourage women just to be true to themselves. If you like to dress up, I don't know, with skirts and dresses, that's fine. That is you. Um, Speak up. Say what you
Yeah.
don't agree with. It's fine to speak up. Um, I don't understand this whole idea of having few women on stage and 90% male speakers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll always proudly say, I'll open my presentations like, good to know I'm the only female speaker here today, or
Right.
glad to be representing this company as a woman.
Yes.
I'm not afraid of that. And also, I'm not afraid to create spaces to nurture because I don't have kids. I'm almost 30 years old. I don't have kids. But as a woman, I have the genetics to nurture, to
Mm-hmm.
create a family or a space. And then I can use those genetic traits that I have and put them into my communities and use it for the sake of my communities and what I'm building.
Yeah, I love that theme. I mean, that's one that I really resonate with, and I think the world's shifting, and a lot of these types of characteristics that, you know, and I try to be careful about saying women characteristics, men characteristics, but these things that statistically women tend to be better at and do more often, the soft skills that you mentioned, they are becoming more and more valuable in the artificial intelligence world, in the world of machine learning, because a lot of the logical, repetitive, structured work can now be done by machines and computers. We as humans are now left to do the unstructured work or to put bigger pictures together. So
Exactly.
I think we're moving into a very pro-female market as far as the skills that are needed.
I
What do you
agree.
think?
I agree. And I think we will always need soft skills. Human to human is is a type of interaction that is not going to go away.
Yeah.
Um, we become so technologically enhanced and developed. If you look at the last 1,000 years, nature can't keep up with the way we evolved as human beings, and it's
Right.
crushing. So we are looking to build solutions to fix that. But women have something, you know, we are sensitive, and we have attention for details, which
Mm-hmm.
men don't usually have. Um, I think we're more aware of our surroundings than men in general. I think women have a specific trait that allows them to perceive better their surroundings. And being aware of what is happening to the person next to you um, might just be the next way to build a better society. Like if you look at Japan, one of the reasons their society is constantly evolving and has such good traits is because they are aware of one another. So they have this collective approach. It's not that, oh, I'm doing very well. It's the fact that I'm doing well, but I always need to pay attention if my well-being impacts the other person.
Yes.
I've seen it um, more prominently in women than in men, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, I see, oh, so most of the men that I talk about in regards to mindfulness and being aware and meditation and connectivity are people who have studied Buddhism or they went to Tibet for 7 years.
Yes.
But there are increasingly more women that are aware of this. Maybe because, you know, it's just part of who they are. Maybe they're more spiritual or something,
Right.
or there's something there that could be explored. Um, and I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful, and I think it's an important skill for our future because this type of interconnection you're talking about, this understanding, kind of this collective knowledge, and I mean, I certainly have noticed that when I've been out on sales calls or in meetings with women. I'm focused on the message. I've got my stuff going. I'm trying to get through the points I'm trying to get through, and then you take a break, and one of the women in the room will be say, "Well, did you notice this person was doing this and this person was doing?" And for me, it's like, phew. But as a team, I'm much better off when I have that kind of knowledge, right? When somebody in the room is paying attention to things that I'm not even seeing.
And there's another aspect which is very important. Actually, I did about 7 years of research,
Hmm.
and when I was in my third year of university, I ran a short experiment in class. I've had I had men and women, colleagues of mine, and I asked them to note down the name of their child, of their future child. So we were all maybe
Yeah.
21, 22 years old, and um, all of the women wrote the name, all of them. Not one, not a single woman wrote a name for a boy or a girl. They just wrote a name.
Okay.
So then I realized that their subconsciousness is so powerful because we as women, we were already in our subconscious mind determining the gender of our first child,
Yeah.
and majority of them wanted girls. So we had about 70% wanted girls and 30% wanted boys. But the fascinating thing is the guys said, they said, if I have a girl, I'll name her like this, and if I have a boy, I'll name him like this.
Yeah.
But the women were so set, like Laura, Mark, Andy, Anna. There are specific
Interesting.
names
Yes.
defining the exact gender. There was not one that said, well, if she's a boy, I'll call her Sally, and if he's a boy, I'll call him Sam.
Yeah.
That was not part of the deal.
Just a
So
completely different mindset.
yeah, completely different. And the way that we anticipate, and we're so sure, subconsciously, we're so sure and so determined.
Yeah. So, Roxana, you mentioned you do a lot of speaking. You're involved in community building. How do people check out your work? How do they get a hold of you? How do they see what you're doing out there in the world?
Uh, I'm very well known in social media just
Yeah.
because I had my time as a marketer and I built a marketing business. So if you type my name, you'll find my Twitter and my LinkedIn. And I'm just starting with YouTube now, but I have a Facebook page and I have a website called Circlified,
Okay.
where I occasionally write. Like I haven't written in a year and a half. I have a Medium page which I started writing more often,
Yeah.
and it's under my name. So you can just Google my name and you'll find a lot of the things that I've done in the
Yeah.
past, I don't know, 7, 8 years or so.
Gotcha. You've done a lot from what I've seen, so you've got a lot of material out there.
Actually, February, 6 years ago in February,
Yes.
I had a very interesting event happening to me. I appeared on the business cover of Romania's biggest business magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And it just happened, a year and a half before that happened. I went to a conference and I received this business magazine as a gift. And I said, wow, it must be really cool to be featured on the cover. I want to be here someday. And
Yeah.
a year and a half later, it just happened.
That quick. Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
So I have this understanding that whatever I do, if I put my mind into it, it's going to happen. Sooner or later, it's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, I'm looking forward to keeping in touch and following what you're doing out there, folks. Check it out. You can also you'll see this obviously on our Women Business Leaders YouTube channel. You can also check out our website at futureofwomeninbusiness.com, where we'll have past episodes, upcoming episodes of the show, and along with our email list if you want to get some inside behind the scenes information. Folks, I want you to take a second, pat yourself on the back for doing the hard work, investing in your future, thinking about these issues so you can really prepare for the future. And Roxana, of course, I want to thank you for taking a little time out of your day and chatting with us and sharing some insights with us. And folks, I look forward to seeing you on a future edition of this show, Women in Business. Talk to you all again soon.